The number one awkward moment is walking in. Walking into an event, oh, my legs just felt so heavy. I didn't want to be there. So if you feel nervous walking into an event, I totally get it. But here are some things that you can do to help with that. Hello, and welcome to the Art of Value Whispering podcast. I'm your host, Melitta Campbell, value whisperer and business coach, and I'm excited that you're here because if you have suspected that you have created an expensive hobby, not a real business, or if you find your marketing overwhelming or draining, then Value Whispering offers you an alternative approach to marketing your business and the results that you get for your clients. It's an approach that ensures that you don't have to shout louder than your competitors or change anything about who you are. In fact, completely the opposite. Your marketing comes from your unique perspective, vision, and desire to help others. So you can naturally stand out, make a difference you feel proud of, and attract the right clients into your business. How to approach Value Whispering is something that I share every week in my free community, the Dream Clients Club, in my weekly masterclasses, the Value Sessions. I would love for you to come and join us. Just go to melittacampbell.com/club and you'll find all the details there. It's completely free to join us. But one of the most powerful ways that you can start marketing your business, getting known for your results, whispering your value is through networking. And I know from experience that if you are someone who has a quiet personality like myself, networking might not seem like your first choice of place to go and grow your business. But believe me, you can network with confidence. Go back and listen to the last episode. I talk about how to find your confidence and how to find the right events. But today I want to follow on from that and talk about how you can manage those awkward moments. Oh no, we have them. When you go networking, there are certain things that happen and you think, roll, I don't want to be in this room anymore. I've made a complete fool of myself, or I feel really out of place, anxious, awkward, whatever that conversation in your mind is. And we would just want to hide and run away. But let me take you through some of the most common awkward moments that I experience and share some tools and tips on how you can handle those. So, the number one awkward moment is walking in. Walking into an event, oh, I used to have to drag myself almost, kicking and screaming, it felt like in my mind. And my legs just felt so heavy. I just didn't want to be there. So if you feel nervous walking into an event, I totally get it. But here are some things that you can do to help with that. So one, before you even get to the event, build yourself up. Look at your vision. What's this event going to do for me? Why am I excited about going to this event? Pick out some of the good things that are going to happen and remind yourself, I'll get to meet some new people. I will learn new things. I will discover opportunities I didn't know existed before. You can also use a playlist. So if you are going on the train, you can have a playlist on your headphones or in the car. Obviously, you can play it through the stereo, but have a playlist that makes you feel good, builds you up, makes you feel your most confident. So curate a really fun playlist that's going to help you do that. Another thing you can do, because a lot of events these days have an online registration, which means you can see who else is going to be there before you go. So you can already start to connect with some people ahead of the event, make friends so you know you're not going into a room of strangers. You are going to meet people that you have already met, even in a small way that you can already go and say hello to. So knowing that you have people to look for can help make that walking in process less anxious. The other thing that is a great thing to do, and I have benefited massively from this little strategy, is to speak to the person on the door. They've met everyone coming in, so you could always ask them, hey, I'm here for the first time. I'm eager to meet people. Describe who you'd like to meet. Is there anyone you can recommend? Or do you know anyone who's arrived already that I should speak to? And they may even be able to come and give you an introduction. Once you walk into that door, look for open circles. So these are circles where people are having a conversation, but they've left a bit of a gap so you can come and join that conversation seamlessly. You don't have to kind of push your way in or stand on the outside of the circle. These open circles are people that want new people to join them. And when you do join, be sure to leave that circle open as well for other people to join in. So you may have seen the film Madagascar with the penguins who are trying to distract the public from the tunnel they're building to escape. And the leader just says, smile and wave, boys, smile and wave. And I kind of feel when I walk into an event, that's what I'm saying to myself, just smile and wave, because I'm just going to walk in, smile, and I maybe don't wave because I haven't met these people already, but I will put out my hand. So just smile, put out your hand, and before you know it, you're into a conversation. So you've walked into the room, and the next awkward moment you're going to have is saying hello. And I used to dread this moment because I didn't know what to say. I knew they were going to ask me, so what do you do? But I had never really had a good answer to that. And if you struggle with what to say as your introduction when people say that, do go to the Dream Clients Club, melittacampbell.com/club, and look at the replay of our Perfecting Your Pitch sessions, because these are events where people have 1 minute to introduce themselves online in a Zoom setting, and then I give feedback on how it could be different. And what we're trying to do is have a simple introduction to your business that feels natural and easy, like part of a conversation, because I think this is part of why that hello, this is what I do moment feels so awkward, is because we've perhaps practiced the sort of audio logo approach. I help so and so to get this result, which has its place. It's helpful to know, but it sounds weird in a conversation, right? It doesn't fit. So in those sessions, we're looking at developing a conversational version of your introduction, which tells them who you work with, tells them the results you get, tells them a little bit about you and why you care about what you do, and a bit of your background all in 1 minute in a simple story. So do go and check that out. But saying hello is really your opportunity to build rapport. It's that first part of a relationship. And knowing that can take the pressure off a little bit, because it's not, hello, this is what I do. Do you want to buy my stuff? Don't try and sell at the networking event itself. You're just trying to make connections with the right people that you can go away and build relationships with over time. And you're trying to find those people of interest who maybe will become a client. Maybe they'll become an introducer. Maybe they'll become a partner. Maybe they'll just become a brilliant friend, someone who gets your journey. You don't know yet. So you're just trying to have that conversation and start to get to know people. So look for that story-based introduction. For example, you could say something like, have you ever noticed how awkward it feels to talk about your business when networking? I mean, you're proud of your work, but you don't want to come across as pushy. Allow them to respond. So you're into a conversation. Exactly. Well, that's what I help business owners with. I show them how to communicate their true value in ways that feel easy and natural, so more people get them and ultimately more people book them. So I have talked a little bit about what I do. It's an introduction. They haven't got all the details, but enough to start a conversation around how awkward networking can feel. And in a networking event, that's obviously going to resonate with a lot of people. So look for some kind of simple introduction that feels conversational, that explains a little bit what you do, maybe invites them into a conversation about what you do and the problem you solve. That's always a really nice start point. And then you have permission to have a really great conversation about your work. So another awkward moment is when you find yourself in a negative conversation. Now, you don't want to get involved in a negative conversation, because other people, even if you're not the one saying anything negative, other people will view you as negative. So you want to get out of these conversations, and they can really alter your mood as well. They rarely feel good. And this one has a simple solution. Smile, say thank you, and walk away. You may feel, oh my gosh, I'm being so rude. But if they're really stuck in this conversation, then they're probably not even going to notice. And if you find that the event is full of the wrong kind of people and conversations, it's okay to leave the event altogether. Not everyone is your tribe, and not every event is going to be a good fit for you. If you are more introverted like myself, then you want to take special care of your time and energy specifically. So if it doesn't feel right, and it's not right because the vibe is wrong, it's not right because you're a little bit fearful, in that case, we need to push ourselves gently a little bit. But if it just feels all wrong, and especially if you don't feel safe in that environment, then just smile, wave, walk away. Another awkward moment is, how do you sell while networking? I've kind of given a clue to the answer here. The answer here is, don't do it. It doesn't feel good to you, and it doesn't feel good to your prospect. They just see themselves as someone that you see with a dollar sign on their head, and that doesn't feel good to anyone. It's definitely not the way to make a new connection and start a good, solid relationship going forward. If you think someone could be interesting to work with, then arrange a coffee and meet with them at a later date. If they show interest in your offer, don't sell it there. You can't do it justice in a short 5-minute conversation with lots of people milling around and lots of distractions. So, again, arrange a time to meet them outside of the event at another time, and take your time to really understand their needs, and then position your product or service accordingly and have that conversation. As I mentioned last week, you would not propose marriage on the first date. So slow things down. If the conversation starts to feel a little bit awkward, you may be going too fast. So slow it down, ask more questions, get to know them, or if it's the wrong person, smile and wave, lovely meeting you, and move on to the next conversation. The next awkward moment, silence. Have you had that when the conversation stops and it's all just silent? You're like, now what do I do? Well, here are some things that you can do in those moments. You can share a simple compliment. That always goes down well. I love your shoes. I've always wanted a killer pair of red heels like those. Where did you find them? A simple compliment often will kickstart the conversation. And people always love compliments as long as they're genuine. Try and end your stories with a question to help keep the conversation flowing. Use a conversation maintainer. This is something that I talk about in my book, A Shy Girl's Guide to Networking, is that you can have conversation starters and maintainers that you can already gather and practice in advance, so you can drop them in a conversation. So a conversation maintainer is like a small story or an insight or questions that you can use to keep the conversation going. So think about some and prepare those in advance. You could share an anecdote related to silence. Oh, it's gone quiet all of a sudden. It reminds me of when my kids were little. One day I remember noticing that they were playing in their room, but it had gone all quiet. I thought the worst, so I went to investigate. But then I found they were just both sitting there next to each other reading a book. It was so sweet. But then I felt really guilty for assuming they'd been up to mischief. You can ask them for some advice. A great way to get a conversation going and make the other person feel good is when you ask for their advice. The other person has a tendency to like you more too when you do this. Just make sure it really is advice that you need and could use. And when you do use their advice, go back and tell them. That's a wonderful way to say thank you and show your appreciation. And if the conversation really has got to the end, just leave the conversation. The next awkward moment is how to leave a conversation. And I don't know if this is my introverted nature, my good girl tendencies, or the fact that I'm British, but I always worry so much about leaving a conversation and appearing rude. I don't want the other person to think that I don't like them in any way. But it is natural at a networking event for conversations to fizzle out, and everyone is there to meet new people. So it is accepted behavior for you to move on. But how can you do that in a way that feels good? Well, you can always use the bathroom excuse. Excuse me, I just need to go to the toilet. Or, excuse me, I need to go to the bar. But if you're going to the bar, the polite thing is, to ask, can I get you a drink? Which just takes you back to the same conversation. So that can be a little bit risky. And if you're using the bathroom excuse, you can only do that once or possibly twice in an event. You don't want people to suddenly think you have a bit of a problem. So it's not the best approach, but it can be used in emergencies. There is alternative things you can say. This exit strategy I call the goal getter. And you just say something simple like, I promised myself I'd make at least 3 new connections tonight. So I'm going to make some quick rounds. Wish me luck. And you can tag onto that if you like. Have you met any other people here you'd recommend that I meet? So ask them for advice and an introduction, possibly. The second option is the meet my friend exit. I promised my friend Emma that I'd say hi this evening. Have you met already? She runs her own business and has some fascinating insights into nutrition and confidence. Let me introduce you. So you can go and meet your friend, but introduce your new friend to your existing contact. That's always a really nice strategy. And people, as I said, are at the networking event to meet new people, and most people find that awkward. So having an introduction, you're also being of service, which is helping build that rapport. And people love connectors. So this is a great exit to use. Again, if it's genuine and you really are going to see your friend. So the next exit strategy is the I loved meeting you exit. Here, you're going to wait for a natural pause in the conversation before making your exit. Then thank the person or the group for sharing their insights and mention something that you will enjoy taking away with you. For example, thank you. I really enjoyed this discussion. I'll be sharing that story about the space pen with my colleagues tomorrow. I look forward to speaking with you again soon. Or perhaps refer back to something they shared. And good luck with your podcast interview next week. Do share the episode with me once it's published. I'd love to listen to it and share it with my network. That way, when you leave the conversation, you're not saying, oh, I'm bored of you now. I've had enough. You're actually showing appreciation and that you really have enjoyed and valued the time with that group or individual. So that's always a really nice exit. This next exit strategy I call the Columbo exit. This is where you explain that you need to move on. You've really enjoyed their discussion, but you just have one last thing you want to share. This allows you to leave, but leaving them with one last golden nugget. And this is, again, something that you can prepare in advance. And this can be used if you have something really highly relevant to share to the conversation, but you don't want to get drawn into a whole new discussion around it. So share your story, shake their hand, thank them for their discussion, and then move on. And then there's my favorite exit strategy, which I call mingle for you. Here you're going to say your goodbyes and just explain, I'm going to mingle a bit more, but before I do, what kind of contacts are you hoping to meet this evening? If I come across someone that matches that profile, I'll be sure to introduce you. And if you feel comfortable, lightly touch their elbow when you say this. It will come across as all the more warm and sincere. This exit has several advantages. One, they will be happy to let you go and mingle if you're going to introduce them to new people and mingle for them. This is going to help them with their own networking efforts and reduce some awkwardness that they may be feeling. It will also invite them to do the same for you. I've done this exit sometimes and people are like, oh, that's a good idea. Who are you looking to meet? And then they've been looking out for me too. So we've amplified each other's networking efforts. And it will help you to stand out because I have done a lot of networking over the years and no one else has ever used this exit on me. So it makes you stand out as different, as thoughtful, as professional. And these are all great things that you want to be known for. So give it a try. It may feel awkward at first, but once you do it that first time and you get an amazing response, you will be doing it all of the time. So that's how you can avoid some of the most common awkward moments and use these opportunities to create additional value and continue building your personal brand. But don't stop there. Here's an exercise I've found valuable when it comes to navigating challenging moments. Think of the networking events that you find yourself attending and what are your typical awkward moments. In those moments, what is the worst that could happen? And be honest. What could you do if the worst happened? And what would make these moments feel less awkward for you? And what if the best happened? What would that look like? And what could you do to make that outcome more likely? And finally, think through what's most likely to happen. In this exercise, I find myself and my clients start to feel more prepared for any eventuality, and they start to realize that actually the most likely scenario isn't so bad. And because they feel so prepared, then these events never happen in the first place anyway. So I hope that has addressed your awkward moments. If you have other awkward moments that you want my advice on, or if you have any cunning strategies that have helped you that you want to share, come and join the discussion on the podcast in the Dream Clients Club. Again, you will find us at melittacampbell.com/club. It's a community, it's a learning platform, it's got live events and challenges in there, and it's all completely free. And every week we have a discussion on that week's podcast theme. So I would love to know what you've taken away from today's episode, what awkward moments you face on a regular basis, and if you have any additional tips that we can all use to feel more confident and relaxed when networking. There are a lot more tools, tips, and insights coming up for you in the next episode. So I do hope you'll join us again next Thursday. And if you have enjoyed the show, then I would love it if you could leave the show a review on Spotify or iTunes. It does a lot to help more people to find and enjoy the show. Meantime, have a great week. I've been Melitta Campbell, your value whisperer and business coach, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Bye.